Hi, this is Chris Young, and welcome to Good News on Tap for the 6th Sunday of Easter. In the first reading today, we see what may have been one of the earliest practices of the sacrament of confirmation as a sacrament celebrated separately from baptism. Philip had baptized the people of Samaria, but they had not yet received the Holy Spirit. It was only when Peter and John came down to lay hands on them that the Spirit was bestowed on them. This story of confirmation takes me back to the days of my own confirmation. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, the doctors really didn't have any clue about my disability. Some speculated I might not be long for the world. Shows you what they knew. I'm going to turn 56 this summer. But because of their miscalculation of my life expectancy, I was hurried through the sacraments of initiation. Now, in those days, the Archbishop only performed confirmations every other year, so they said I needed to get confirmation out of the way right now. One of the consequences of that was that all of the catechesis that I had in order to prepare me for confirmation was pretty much over my head at age 5. All I knew was that the Archbishop was going to make a sign of the cross on my forehead, he was going to slap me on the cheek, and I was going to become, quote, a soldier for Christ, unquote. Somehow in my little mind I got that soldier image mixed up with the knowledge of Roman history that I had at age 5, where I knew that Roman soldiers would round up Christians and feed them to the lions. Now, despite assurances that, quote, that kind of stuff doesn't go on anymore, end quote, I was pretty sure I didn't want to be a soldier. Well, in these days, that soldier for Christ imagery is not used quite as much. The sacrament of confirmation is generally not celebrated until you're in your teenage years. So the preparation could be a little more practical, and the participants are old enough that you can teach them a little more sophisticated theology than you can a 5-year-old. But as an adult now, with a little bit of theological study under my belt, I've begun again to appreciate what it means to be a soldier for Christ. I think it means the recognition that we really are in a daily struggle between good and evil. Not necessarily some big apocalyptic battle, not that. Just the daily challenges of standing up for what's right and good in the midst of a society which these days tends to be a little bit self-serving, stingy, and driven by fear. In contrast, the virtues of empathy, generosity, and hope are becoming increasingly difficult to practice. One of the biggest challenges Christians face today is remembering our call to care for the poor and vulnerable in society. We talk about freedom in this country with great pride, but lately freedom has almost become twisted to mean being free of responsibility to care for one another. People say they want smaller government, low taxes. They have that keep your hands off my stack kind of attitude. But when our government is our society's primary way of taking care of the poor, then that attitude is not the Christian way. Religious leaders these days have been calling on legislators to keep that in mind, to remember that fundamental option for the poor. This weekend we celebrate Memorial Day as we honor our soldiers for the country who have made great sacrifices for freedom. As we do so, it's a good time to remind ourselves that we are soldiers as well. We have to sacrifice to stand up for what's right in our day-to-day lives, just as certainly as our military has sacrificed for all of us as well. Soldiers will tell you they can only be effective when they have the right leadership and the right resources and equipment. In the Gospel today, Jesus promises this, that we will have that. He promises an advocate. Of course, he's talking about the Holy Spirit. That Spirit doesn't just draft us to be soldiers for Christ, but it leads us, it guides us, it watches over us, it strengthens us, and it protects us so that we are very well equipped to do spiritual battle. And that's Good News on Tap for the sixth Sunday of Easter.